Stop. Take your hand off of the keyboard. Before you type, be the rock star, not his girlfriend, listen to what I have to say. Now, if you're unfamiliar, the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic is a style that has been taking social media by storm. You may have seen it on platforms such as Pinterest, YouTube, or TikTok. In fact, you might even recognize me from a few videos I did on this very topic. Now, although the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic is gaining in popularity and becoming a little bit trendy, the term and the style is nothing new. Which is why I thought it'd be fun to not only go into a deep dive analysis on what the aesthetic is, but also famous rockstar girlfriends throughout history, because they've not only influenced fashion, but left their mark on the world. Now, before I dive into all of these iconic women, I need to set the scene, okay? I need to fill you in on what the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic is. Because even if you think you know, there might be a few things that you have yet to learn. Now, the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic of itself is a mixture of edgy and trendy fashion, and is specifically influenced by the 80s and 90s scene. Okay, you see a lot of leather, you see a lot of shaggy haircuts, you see heavy eyeliner looks, the messier the better. You see a darker color palette with pops of color or funky patterns. You might see pops of red or some leopard print, maybe even plaid. Style, aesthetic, and look-wise, this even takes inspo from Victoria DeAngelis, who's not even a rockstar girlfriend, she is the rock star. But all the things that I mentioned, you can see when you take a look at her. And I'll actually talk a little bit more about Maneskin later in this video. And now this part of the video is going to feature a very nerdy version of me. Why, you might ask? Because we're going to be getting into a little thing called marketing, more specifically SEO. And you might be thinking, why is this relevant to this video? Because the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic are keywords that people use in search engines to find images and videos of a very specific style. And this background marketing information is important when trying to understand what this aesthetic even is. So rockstar and girlfriend are both descriptive keywords, and if you don't know what a keyword is, it's basically the main thing that you search for in order to find something on the internet. And an example of this would be if you search for video essays on YouTube, my video might have come up. That's why I always put video essay in the title, so that my video is suggested to people who enjoy hearing someone yap about a specific topic for 45 minutes straight. So search engine words, keywords, are just descriptive factors. They usually feature an adjective and a noun, like clean girl aesthetic, okay? Clean is the adjective, girl is the noun. For the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic, rockstar is being used as an adjective even though it is a noun. And why these are important is because it helps users like yourself find specific content on the internet. So honestly, yes, aesthetics can seem a little bit silly, like goblin core aesthetic. What the heck is goblin core? But if you think about it, goblin, what are you thinking of? Okay, are you thinking of a little troll man? Actually, you might, but I'm thinking of like Lord of the Rings. I'm thinking of mushrooms and lots of moss. I'm thinking of like fairy tales. I get a very specific image painted in my mind. So just by hearing those words, I already kind of get an idea of what this aesthetic could be. So when you search for the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic, you're probably thinking of rock stars. Okay, and what do rock stars include? All the things I mentioned before, okay? Eyeliner looks, leather jackets, fun colors, and funky prints. Then when you think of a girlfriend, when you think of a girlfriend, you probably think of someone who's really pretty, and they're obviously cool because they're hanging out with these musicians. And so those are the keywords that make up the aesthetic. And one of the main things that I hear revolving around this aesthetic is to be the rock star, not his girlfriend. But those are just honestly the keywords that gain traction. It quite literally could just be called the rock star aesthetic, and have heard some people refer to it as that. However, the rock star girlfriend aesthetic is what gained the most popularity. So now that you understand, hopefully, what SEO keywords are, in summary, they're just descriptive factors to help you find specific content on the internet. And although they might sound dumb, they do serve a purpose, especially in marketing. But sometimes even stores use this to help push out their clothing to a specific audience. I saw Urban Outfitters have like a tab for ballet core. So if anyone likes the ballet core aesthetic, they're able to find clothes that fit that style very easily. But anyway, I yapped long enough about marketing words, but I do think that having that foundation is good, because if you don't understand, you might be like, why the heck do all these things have like the most random weird names? And like, honestly, I do get it. Some of these do sound really silly, like Clean Girl, Goblin Core, but again, they serve a purpose. So let's take a look at the term Rockstar. Okay, rockstar is traditionally used to describe people such as like the band members of Kiss. Okay, Van Halen, John Bon Jovi, okay, Heart, Alice Cooper, all of those people would be considered rock stars. However, if we take a look at present day, rockstar might be used to describe people such as Damiano David from the band Maneskin. You have no idea how much pressure there was on me to pronounce that correctly. The members of Maneskin would be deemed as rock stars because they do have more of that rock star energy in their stage performances, okay? They're making rock songs. They have a very cohesive band image. They're wearing a lot of leather, fun, funky, risque outfits that a lot of people saw in bands in the 80s, for instance. There's a lot of similarities between the two. And again, their stage energy, not just standing there watching a few people sing, okay? You're getting a performance. And the outfits, the songs, their performance energy, all of that was what made the 80s bands and 80s music so great. And Maneskin brings those same factors and brings those same elements to the table. Or should I say to the stage? They bring the same elements and factors to the stage, which is why a lot of people would describe them as rock stars. Now, I will say that the term rock star has loosened up over the years, and a lot of people seem to use it to just describe anyone who's a musician. Like, let's just say role model or Conan Gray, for instance. Now, I'm not saying that they're not cool. I'm not saying that they don't make good music, okay? But a lot of people might be like role models really living the rock star life. He's such a rock star. Okay, and here's the thing. Okay, I love Tucker. I love his music, okay? I've been listening for quite some time. His song Supermodel is my fave. But taking a look at what a rock star is, his music doesn't necessarily give off rock. It's more pop and hip hop. I mean, his recent album's giving country, but I digress, okay? The term rock star has loosened up and it's just really referred to anyone who's a musician, whether or not they carry that rock star essence, whether or not they actually play rock music, whether or not they're wearing lots of leather, they're wearing these cool eyeliner looks, they're wearing funky patterns, and they bring that traditional rock energy on stage. And here comes the opinion piece of this video, okay? Some of you guys might say that I'm making a reach with this, but I can't help but wonder if girls specifically have started calling their favorites rock stars to avoid all the misogyny that comes with being a fangirl. And again, if you think, oh, she's reaching, clearly you never got bullied or made fun of for liking One Direction. Okay, clearly you have never been asked to name 3 songs. Or if you know the band on your shirt, maybe calling them rock stars helps earn you a little bit more respect than saying, oh yeah, that's my favorite boy band, or oh yeah, that's my favorite pop star. I just personally can't help but wonder that. And all I can say about that is if it's normal and accepted without judgment for a man to cheer on another man running across a field in tight little pants, then I should be able to cheer on a man on stage in a tight little fit without anyone losing respect for me for it. Now, because the term rock star has loosened up over the years, ultimately Rockstar Girlfriend has too. The Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic is more edgy fashion that's usually music based, but it is also very trendy. It is basically an it girl that listens to all the coolest bands, that has the best music recommendations, that's wearing the coolest clothes, the girl that you want to be friends with, the girl who is hanging out with all of the cool people, who's in all the cool scenes. Okay, that, in my opinion, is what the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic is. And modern day examples of a Rockstar Girlfriend would be someone like, let's say, Claudia Sulewski. Okay, Claudia is dating Phineas. Ferb is left in the dust. Sorry, I had to make that joke. Now, Claudia is extremely fashionable. She has her own career. She's built up her own business. She's a fellow content creator. She's an actress. She is someone that you would take fashion and makeup tips from. Fashion by day, but Grammy's Red Carpet at Night, which is actually, okay, Alexis lore drop. I worked the 66 Grammys and I actually did see Claudia there. I really like having fun lore drop in the middle of a conversation because it's usually me slowly revealing something traumatic that has happened to me. So it's nice to have it the other way around. But she gets to go to all of these really cool events. Not only that, but she also has a song titled after her. A good song, by the way. Okay, Claudia's beautiful. She has great fashion taste. She gets to go to all these cool events. She is a modern day Rockstar girlfriend. Again, even though Phineas, he's cool, he has great music, he does all these cool things, might not fit under the traditional term of rock star. And another example would be Devin Lee Carlson. Even though her and her former musician boyfriend broke up, like honestly, like I think 3 years ago, maybe even more, I'm still gonna be using her as an example just because she is so iconic. And when I think of the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic, I do think of her. Okay, so Devin Lee dated Jesse, who I'm not even gonna talk about, okay? I'm not gonna speak on their relationship or speak on Jesse, but her style at that time, I mean, her style to this day is still really cool, like, love her. But her style during that time, it was giving the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic, okay? She was and is this super fashionable, trendy girl that you want to be like. She built up her own business. She gets to do all these cool things, collab with all of these different people. She gets to do all these cool things, go to all these fun events. And in addition to this, she gets to be in music videos. She gets to have these cool songs written about her. So she is an it girl who is also involved in the music scene, and I really think that that is what the rockstar girlfriend aesthetic is trying to capture. And I think both Devin Lee and Claudia are great modern day examples of this. However, rockstar girlfriends, girls surrounded by musicians, is nothing new. In fact, there are a few very iconic ones that I am very excited to discuss. Now, the first one is Anita Pallenberg, who was titled the original It Girl. She was an Italian-German film actress, artist, and model, as well as a muse for the band that we're all very familiar with, the Rolling Stones. There was actually a recent documentary about her and her story, and I do encourage you all to watch that because no one could describe her better than those that knew her. And the documentary started when the Sun found her journal with very personal entries that gave us a lot of insight into being a muse at the time, into being a girlfriend at the time, into being in the music scene at that time. So highly, highly recommend. I haven't seen it yet, but after looking into her, you bet I will. Okay, so now that we have an idea of who Anita is, how did she meet the Rolling Stones, and why is she iconic? Why would she be considered a rockstar girlfriend? Originally, Anita had met the band by sneaking backstage at a concert after a dare, where she then met Brian Jones. And I highly encourage you to read about their relationship. I'm not going to be speaking on it, but I want to make it clear that I'm also not romanticizing it. In fact, I'm not romanticizing any of these relationships because as a viewer, you never really know how the relationship is. And again, unless you're a part of it, I don't really think it's fair to speak on it. Ultimately, though, she did meet Keith Richards. They fell in love, had a few children. You know how the story goes. But in addition to this, Mick Jagger also had his eyes on Anita. Now, I can barely even get a musician to match with me on a dating app, let alone have multiple fall in love with me. So honestly, I need to learn a thing or two from Anita. Now, songs that she has been thought to have inspired include Gimme Shelter, You Can't Always Get What You Want, You Got the Silver, and Beast of Burden. Which again, it's one thing to have a song written about you, it's another thing to have multiple songs written about you, and it's a whole other thing for the songs to actually be good, okay? A lot of these, if not all, would be considered hit songs. How iconic, and I'm not even done. Because all I've really dove into was who she was dating and the songs that were written about her, okay? But not her herself. Okay, because she didn't just inspire them lyrically, she inspired them fashion-wise. According to this Rolling Stones article, Anita inspired Brian's look. By cutting his hair, dyeing it blonder, Keith even started wearing her bangles and scarves, ultimately changing his look entirely, which earned him the title of Best Dressed Man. You know that trend on TikTok where it's like the girlfriend effect, where when a guy begins dating a girl, if he didn't have good style to begin with, it just slowly improves over the years? Yeah, so that happened. I mean, I need to think of another word other than iconic. How legendary. How legendary is that? And you can even see the transformation in photos on the internet because there are articles written about it. Anita truly left her mark on this world. But now within the music scenes, there's another culture, okay? There's another term for people who hang around musicians. And as an ode to Penny Lane, because come on man, it's Penny Lane, show some respect. I'm gonna be referring to them as Band-Aids. And if you have absolutely no idea what I'm talking about, the term Band-Aids comes from a film called Almost Famous, which is a very popular movie starring Kate Hudson, where it follows a bunch of girls who go on tour with musicians. And this film is largely credited for the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic. Okay, Penny Lane, Sapphire, all these girls were so effortlessly cool. They carried this carefree essence, although if you actually watch the movie, you'll notice they weren't all that carefree. But these girls, they're spending all of their time with these iconic fictional musicians, and they look great doing it. I mean, their outfits featured statement items such as Penny's signature coat, giant sunglasses, or for instance, Sapphire's funky and fun rainbow vest. Even if the clothes aren't exactly the same as today's Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic, these iconic outfits are still such an inspiration for many, with a lot of fans recreating these characters' looks. Now, outside of the fictional world of Almost Famous, there is a very iconic Band-Aid who owns the title I'm with the band. And that person, my friends, is Pamela Des Barres. Now, Pamela Des Barres was a famous Band-Aid, specifically in the 80s. Now, Pamela Des Barres was a famous Band-Aid as well as a musician and writer. She was in the band, the GTOs, and published a book in the 80s titled I'm with the Band. According to her interview with Vogue, she used to take artists such as Alice Cooper and Band, Led Zeppelin, to a vintage store in LA called the Glass Farmhouse. Now, Pamela made a ton of Western-inspired shirts and customized them with jewels and bright colors to add personality. She even went on to make these for Mick Jagger, okay? And that's not even it. That's like, I'm not done here. She also made them for Jimmy Page. I would love to style musicians, to take them vintage shopping. And Pamela did this because growing up, she found her love for thrifting, okay? She couldn't afford to go buy brand new clothes. So she discovered the thrill of vintage clothing, of finding vintage clothing, the thrill of scavenging through racks. I don't know if I want that audio snippet. She had no other option than to thrift. Luckily enough, she enjoyed it, and she had an affinity for finding vintage clothing. Okay, she had a knack for it. She was good at it. And all I can say is I honestly would hate to be in a thrift store with her. I walk in, I see her, I know she has all the good stuff. I know that I just have to give up and walk away. Or raid her shopping cart when she's not looking. I'm just kidding. I don't do that in real life, and please don't do that either. Like, these were just such iconic women. They weren't just girlfriends, okay? They inspired the bands that people all over the world know. How freaking iconic is that? How legendary. I think that they deserve to be right up there in the Hall of Fame alongside those guys. Now, this leads us to one final question. Is the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic controversial? Is it demeaning? Now, this part of the video is more so an opinion piece, as well as a conclusion on what I discussed. But the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic of itself, just taking a look at those words, are keywords for search engines. And again, from a marketing perspective, it's great. And from a fashion perspective, it's also great because it helps us pinpoint a specific style so that we can find clothes that we like, so that we can find hair and makeup that we like. And it makes it easier for us as viewers, as consumers of content, to find what we're looking for. And then from a marketing perspective, it's great for companies and small businesses to push out their clothing to people who like this sort of style. And also, if you're a creator and you do brand yourself with that, again, it's also easier for you to find your target audience. And I will say that once again, to conclude what the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic is, it is a mixture of edgier and trendy elements. I would say that it is an alternative style just because, like, alternative is an umbrella. Like, alternative is an umbrella term. You know, like, whimsy goth and the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic would fall under the category of alternative just because it steers away from the traditional way of dressing, more of a clean-cut style. But I wouldn't necessarily say that alternative people dress within the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic just because the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic is a little bit more trendy. And even though it has to do with music, there's not like a huge music subculture, whereas with alternative, there's subcultures like grunge or punk, and alternative people typically carry the same values and beliefs of the music scenes they're in, and like the fashion in those scenes is more of an outwardly expression of who they are. And again, although the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic would be considered an alternative style, it is just an aesthetic. Like, alternative isn't really an aesthetic, and the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic is just more fashion forward. There's not a subculture attached to it. Which leads us to the question, is the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic controversial? Is it demeaning? At the end of the day, those are just keywords. Those were just the words that happened to gain traction. I think you can enjoy the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic, even if you're not a girlfriend, even if you don't want to be a rockstar's girlfriend, even if you just want to be the rockstar. And the second part of this is I have seen not necessarily hate, but criticism towards girls who do want to date musicians, who do want to be a rockstar girlfriend. And honestly, at the end of the day, you do you, girl. And I know that with a lot of hyper feminine aesthetics, there's an emphasis on dating specific types of guys, and there seems to be a lot of support in the comments for it. So I don't understand why it's not accepted for girls to want to date musicians. Like, some girls set out to date lawyers, other girls want to date musicians. And in addition to this, I will say there seems to be a negative connotation with the word girlfriend in the Rockstar Girlfriend aesthetic. And girlfriend doesn't have to be a bad thing. That doesn't mean that you're not badass. Being someone's girlfriend doesn't mean that you're not your own boss, that you're not following your own dreams. And hey, maybe your dream is to marry a musician. And if that's the case, I say you do you, girl. Like, do what makes you happy. But let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I also tried to make this video a lot longer than usual because one main complaint I get on my video essays, which I wouldn't necessarily say it's a complaint, but more so a criticism, is that they're not video essays, they're merely summaries. And reading that comment honestly made me laugh so much. So I did try to yap a lot more, and I will say that in real life, I've never been asked to talk more about one specific subject. So in addition to letting me know your thoughts and opinions, be sure to tell me what you think about the length of this video essay.